I'm Dr. Jennifer Tanner. I am here with Run Lab and Run Well, our summit for runners' health and performance. Guys, you are going to love this speaker today. We have got this guy on here, and he is a machine in the gym. My mission is to bring movement back to medicine, and this is what this guy's doing every single day. I want you runners to be running from now until years and years to come, and to do that, we have to exercise smart and efficiently. And our guest today is going to help us do exactly that. So we have Matt Pauderis. He is a personal trainer here in Toronto. We met together at a conference called Impact Lives, where basically we are trying to impact and improve the health of more of our Torontonians and more, not only just Toronto, but people all around the globe. Because again, we want to keep you guys active. We want to keep you moving. So welcome, Matt. Matt is the co-founder of RX Fit. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how's it going? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. So be sure to stay tuned to the end, guys, because Matt is going to throw together some videos for us, and we'll go through those on this talk. And then if you want to have endless access to those, stay tuned and we'll show you how to do that at the end. But Matt, tell us, the importance of training, and we want to make sure these people are going for a lifetime. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think if you want to enjoy a lifelong running career, if you may, you definitely want to make sure that you stay strong and you have the ability to do so. A lot of people end up developing injuries, whether it's knees, ankles, hips. So the more we can prevent any injuries from happening, the longer your running career will be. And the longer your running career will be, the healthier and the happier you're going to be.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to that happiness too, part of what I love about running is the community that I'm running with. Runners are so much fun. And when I get hurt, I'm being taken away from that community. So I want to keep my mental health in check, and I want to have that social aspect of it. So one thing that runners do though is they put their shoes on, they get up and they go and they run, which is fantastic. Yeah. But they don't do a lot of other types of training. How can these guys start to incorporate strength training?
Yeah, so I mean, if you've never done strength training before, I would say starting with some very basic routines would be key. You don't want to do anything too complicated, too fast. Again, you don't want to get injured, and that can happen with strength training. But if you start with the basics and build, almost like building a house, you want to have a solid foundation to work from. So, you don't go into running your first marathon the first time you ever run, you build it up slow. So strength training will help to make sure that, as your running progresses, you can also progress the intensity of the exercises and the things you're doing, so that, your running increases and your strength increases at the same time, which will also make sure you can run for a long time.
Exactly. So build accordingly to what you are currently doing and what your plans are, right? If you have a 5K, 10K, marathon, ultras, whatever those kinds of goals are, what are some of those benefits that a runner could expect?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing you'll start to realize is that you actually start to become more efficient with your running itself. So if you're losing stability throughout the joints as you're running, you're not going to have the most efficient run. As you start to strengthen up that stability and strengthen up the muscles around the joints, that extra energy that you once were using towards trying to stabilize everything will now go towards power and increase the ability and the length that you can run. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. It will increase the length of your run as well as the power you'll get into each kind of stride. So that's very important.
Absolutely. We need more power. We need more efficient way of running. And I know for myself that I have poor posture. And when I have somebody point it out or correct, or even work on some of those stabilizing muscles, I'll notice such a difference on the next run that it seems a little bit more effortless, and there's more reward, right? So either I'm able to go a little bit further or I'm able to go a little bit faster on that next.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up posture there, because strength training will also help with that posture. One thing you don't want to do is kind of hunch over when you're running. Okay. And when you start to strengthen up your back,
yes,
you will be able to expand your lung capacity as well. So, when we talk about strength training, it goes far beyond just leg training itself. A lot of people assume you just have to kind of pound your legs in the gym for an hour. That's not necessarily true. You want to look at it just like any sort of anything to do with your body, you want to look at the entire picture and not just parts of it. So full body, focusing on core and posture is very big. And then of course, hip stability and strength.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, like, if I run too long, my posture starts to go and I'll start to stick my like neck out because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like dying a
Forward
little
head.
bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll get headaches, I'll be more sore. Like it's not good.
Yeah. A lot of times people will start to like tense up through the neck and the traps quite a bit, and they'll start
Yeah.
kind of overpowering through their arms as well. So
Yeah.
those are all things you can help to prevent with proper strength training.
Yeah. And I would imagine like a lot of people are into heart rate monitoring as well. And if you can get that cardiovascular function up, that's going to allow for a more moderate heart rate during those training runs as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also use anything you're using to track your heart rate during your runs. You can also use to track the progress of your weight training sessions.
Yeah.
So you can almost create like a standardized routine, and then basically the lower the heart rate gets as you do it, the healthier your heart's becoming, the fitter you are. So
yeah, that's a good monitor. I like using that as a tracking system, like a little bit of an accountability tool, and like measure those KPIs, those key performance indicators. So if the heart rate is an easy one to monitor, you can use your Fitbit, you can use your Garmin, you can use an Oura ring.
Yeah,
they're all awesome monitors.
Yeah, I've become addicted to my Apple Watch, to be honest. I don't wear any other watch now. I wear it from morning to night. So
yeah,
I also want to make sure I'm closing all those rings on that. So
yeah.
It's fun.
Now, question about like timing. So just say somebody is like in training and they've got like most trainings, you've got like a slow run, you've got kind of like an intermittent where you're doing like a speed and then slow and then speed and then slow, maybe a hill day, another slow day, and then or a fast day, and like usually you end up having your long day on like a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday. If you're going to incorporate some strength training into that protocol, is there an ideal day? Like, would you want to be doing it on one of the slow days, on one of your hill days? Do you have like a take on that?
Yeah, so depending on how frequently you're running and what level you're at, I don't know if I necessarily put them on the same day. Now, remember, the focus is on your running. So if you are going to put the strength training day on the same day as a run, do it after your run. Because if you do it first, you're going to be exhausted and you're not going to get the best run in. And that is priority number one. So it would go cardio first, then strength training. Although ideally, you would put it on a completely separate day. And then you do need a couple of rest days where you're just completely off and recovering, because that's where you really do make the most progress, right, is on those recovery days.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say, in terms of intensity, if you're just starting out, you will be sore for the first couple weeks, like 2-3 weeks worth of workouts. So just anticipate that and maybe back off on the running a little bit to accommodate that. But don't let that discourage you, because it's one of those things where once you get past that point, you'll actually start to get stronger. Right? If you think about any elite athlete out there, they're all doing strength training and they're all performing and doing practices. So your body will adapt. There's just a small kind of rough period that you have to get through in order to get the actual long-term gains. So don't be discouraged if you're sore. Push through the run, just back off from the intensity to avoid injury, and you'll be fine.
And I find that's where people start to drop off. Like you get to that point where you're like building, and you're about to see results. And then people get discouraged or whatever, they're a little bit sore and they're afraid. So they start to back off. But that's the point where that's the make it or break it point, right? That's where you're really going to start to notice either that muscle definition, or you're going to start to notice those changes in your runability and whatnot. So, but if you're working someone like with you, Matt, like you'd be able to walk through somebody and be like, yeah, this is good pain versus this is pain that you actually need to take a break.
Yeah, and so, I mean, obviously we can't go and diagnose, but one of the major things you look for is if you're feeling, like most people know what muscular pain is, you probably felt it off after a run. So if you're feeling that the next day, you're probably okay to run after a training session. There's a big difference between, like, if you're feeling bad pain in your joints, like anyone that's had any sort of injury knows what I'm talking about. But generally, if you're not injured, you're probably going to be okay to push through the pain. It's usually good. Again, if you have an injury you think might be there, then obviously get that looked at first. That's priority number one.
Yeah.
But don't get discouraged by muscle pain because it won't last forever.
Okay, good. And if it is there, you know, some of my like easy tricks, Epsom salt bath, nettle
Yep.
tea, cold submersion. Those are like
Yep.
my top three. Clear out that lactic acid, get you back on the roads a little bit faster. Can you dig
Absolutely.
can you dig a little bit deeper into, like, we want these people running injury free, right? We want to build, like you said,
Yep.
we're going to build more slowly so that you don't like end up like going from your couch to a marathon and hurting yourself and never running again. We want them injury free. But can you dig a little bit deeper into like how can strength training optimize those accessory muscles to stabilize and whatnot?
Yeah. So first off, I want to make sure we're clear on one thing. When we talk about heavy strength training, if you have an actual race coming up, so I'm going to use the Sporting Life 10K because I'm sure a lot of Torontonians know what that is. So you have a 10K race coming up. You don't want to be going heavy strength training leading up, you know, a week or two before the race. So when we talk about strength training, you want to try to time it so that you're getting the majority of it done, you know, soon after your last race. So it's kind of like your off season, right? You're not running as much. That's the best time to incorporate the strength training so that you're minimizing kind of crossover between the two. As you get closer, probably 12 to 16 weeks out, you might taper off the intensity of your frequency. And I think that's going to be the biggest key to remember when doing this is you don't have to go hard right before races. Like back off the intensity of the weights, focus more on the running, and just focus more on like accessory work. And then back to your question, in terms of accessory work, definitely, I think one of the biggest areas that we all need to focus on as runners are hips, right? Yeah. So a lot of people have either very tight hips or very weak hips, but a tight muscle, as we tend to know, is a very weak muscle to begin with. So if you're tight, you're going to be weak. So we want to free up range of motion and then build strength. Yeah. And that would be like probably the most important place to start.
Okay. And so when you're saying like lighten up on that load, are you meaning like the actual weight of the weights or the number of reps that you're doing or just a combination of the both?
Yeah, I would say a bit of both. So the closer you get towards the actual race day, you're going to lighten up on a bit of everything. But I would say priority one would be to lighten up on the weight, right? If you're using heavier weight, you want to lighten up on that. And then as you get a few more weeks closer to the race, probably 6 weeks out, you probably back off on the frequency or, you know, either frequency or volume within the workouts. But again, I'm going to provide almost like a template of like a 16-week kind of strength training protocol. And then I'll give you some examples of how you could incorporate that leading up to a race, as well as, you know, getting like right into the last few days as well. Some kind of like tips and tricks. I do like everything you said about the recovery, and that's why I do think recovery days are important. Those are great tips. So yeah.
I love it. Like, Matt, tell people, what is your Instagram handle? Because you guys need to take out your phones right now and you need to look this guy up. He is a beast in the gym. I have never seen such feats of strength and the things that he can do just with like leaping with fingers and hands alone is insane. It's wild. So what's your Instagram handle, Matt?
Yeah, so it's at Matt Pauderis, just my last name, Pauderis. Yeah, I mean, I post a lot of stuff on there. That's pretty much my only social media channel. And then you can check out my website if you wanted to. It's myrxfit.com. And that is going to be like a solid foundational strength training program for any athletic abilities. But we're also, like I said, we're going to provide a much more specific one for runners in this. So.
Okay, so before we head over to those videos, just tell me a little bit about periodization. Go a little bit more into that again.
Yeah, so periodization is kind of hitting the points on like tapering off before a race. So like when we think about periodization, we're talking about like, think of it as time. So, you know, if we're to take a look at, for example, the Raptors, right? I'm sure after their victory last year, they probably took quite a few weeks off to go and party and eat and drink and have their fun, right? Now, of course, they're back into competition season, so there's going to be a lot more strength training leading up to that, and then they're probably not going to be going 4 or 5 days a week in the gym as hard as they can, knowing that they're playing games every other day. So the same thing applies to your running schedule, right? So periodization would be like, if you run 2 races a year, let's just make it easy. Let's say January and, you know, May, June to split it up evenly. After your January run, let's say it's on January 1st, New Year's Day run, start your year off with a good goal, right? You're gonna take a few weeks of recovery. Assume, let's say it's a half marathon, you'll probably want to recover, and then you'll probably start going heavier on the weight training. Then that's where you're gonna build up your strength. You're gonna try to damage control any kind of like twinges or injuries you might have at that time. And then as you start getting closer to that 6-month out race, you know, maybe 5 months out, you're going to start incorporating your running back in, build it in slow. Obviously, you know, slower is better than overuse, and you don't want to get injured, right? And then
Absolutely.
3 months out, you're probably going to add more running, so you're going to back off on the weights again. So periodization is just figuring out where's your most important day and building a solid plan around that.
Okay.
And again, that all sounds very complicated, but I'm going to send you an example of that, and like basically like a weekly timetable of what that would look like in real time. So you could actually just take that and, you know, kind of fit it to your own goal. So I'll make it very simple for you when we send that over.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So some of those videos, can you walk us through just a couple of the exercises that you are doing in those videos? Just tell us a bit about them. Yeah,
so I mean, first and foremost is going to be warm up that kind of activates certain muscles that we need for running. So there's gonna be a lot of like glute activation. We're gonna do some hip flexor releases because, as we all know as runners, our hip flexors tend to get very tight. And if your hip flexors tighten up, that directly pulls on your lower back. So we're gonna try to release all the tension in the hip flexor while activating the glutes. We're also gonna get the posture nice and strong. So we're gonna activate the mid back and upper back, and we're gonna try to loosen up through the front of the shoulders and the chest. So that's gonna be your warm up. And I've got, you know, about 5 exercises for you there, and then we're going to go into the actual like hip exercises. So we're going to do a lot of single leg versus, we're not going to do a lot of squats or deadlifts or things like that, because running is a single leg sport. So it's very important that you have the stability and strength needed. So there's going to be different lunge variations. Some you may be familiar with, some might be a little new, and they're going to challenge your strength in different ranges of motion than you're probably used to. So again, that's also very important, right? As runners, we tend to move in one dimension. So getting strong outside of that will help for injury prevention, as well as just overall performance.
Yeah. So just say I was to wake up tomorrow morning, I was to watch those videos and go through all the exercises, what would you say? It would take me like 15 minutes, half an hour? What do you think?
Yeah, you could split it up. I would say no more than 30, right? If you wanted to add some more volume to it, like I'm happy to provide a few progressions as well. So, you know, it shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes. If you're working efficiently and you're not taking too many breaks, you should be able to get it done pretty quick. And you should be working efficiently. That's probably the most important thing is, you know, give it the effort it deserves, and then go enjoy your time doing other things in life.
Beautiful. Amazing. So, all right, guys, you are going to head over to those videos. Follow the link so you can have lifetime access to them. Matt has been super awesome, put them together for us in his beautiful gym. You're going to start doing them tomorrow. You're going to look at your training plan and figure out how you're going to incorporate this into where is your next run. And Matt, I heard that you are going to be doing a run this year too.
Yeah, I'm going to put it out here right now so everybody can hold me accountable. I'm going to do 2 half marathons at some point in 2020. So I think I'm looking at one in October, one in May right now, whenever the Good Life one is and whenever the Collingwood half marathon is. So, those are the 2 I'm going to strive for, and hold me to it, because, you know, I can't back out now, right?
All right, so you guys are going to go on this guy's Instagram right now at Matt Pauderis, and you're going to check him out. You're going to see what he looks like. And if you see him running around town, or you see him on that Good Life course, give him a little high five, give him a little boost, be like, yeah, you're doing awesome. We want this guy out there a little bit more. And what was that website again, Matt?
It's www.myrxfit.com.
Awesome. So if you need some ongoing support, that's a great place to head over to. So thank you, Matt, for being on. We're going to link you guys over to those videos right now, and stay tuned. There are more summits up and coming. You can always go to run-lab.ca to link on to our other summits and our online programs as well. So thanks again, Matt. It's been a blast.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.